Hello everyone and welcome back. It's been a while, but I'm back. Today I am going to be making a recipe that is quite simple but quite delicious. It's something that you would use out of items that you find in your pantry. 8 of them to be exact. The recipe we will be making today is the 8-can chicken taco soup. And these are the actual ingredients you will need to make this lovely soup. 1 can of stewed tomatoes, 1 can of corn drained, the 2 cans of beans, black and pinto, rinsed, a can of cream of chicken soup, the can of chunk chicken, drained, 1 can of green enchilada sauce, some chicken broth, and the original taco packet seasoning. Alright, to start our recipe, we're going to incorporate our 8 ingredients into the pot. We're going to start with our 1 can of diced tomatoes. Now that I have everything opened and prepared and ready to put in the pot, I will do so. That was the diced tomatoes in the pot, and the corn that I have drained I will also add as well. Okay, now that the diced tomatoes and the corn have been incorporated, I'm going to add the cream of chicken soup. Unfortunately, I kind of need both hands to do that, so I'll be right back. As you can see, the cream of chicken soup has been added to the pan, and now I'm going to add the chicken breast, which has been drained of its water. Basically, you're just taking the 8 ingredients that I have showed you and mentioned to you and adding them all into a large pot. Now that the chicken breast has been incorporated, we're going to take the green enchilada sauce, pour that into our pot. This is starting to look very interesting. It looks good. And then we are going to incorporate the chicken broth, which I measured out to be the 1 can of 15.5 ounces of chicken broth. That I am also putting into the soup. That is going to be the base of its liquid. Then I will need to add the taco seasoning packet and the beans, which have been drained and rinsed off. Now that the beans and the seasoning packet have been added to our soup, it is time to put our oven on to a high temperature heat. The soup needs to come to a solid boil and then turn down to a simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes. Once it is simmered on the stove for at least that time amount, you're going to turn it off and let it sit for about 5 minutes to get that, cooling down a little bit so that we can try it without burning our mouths. As you can see, I have incorporated all the ingredients together in our pot, have stirred it, and our cooking time has started. It should go to a boil within about 8 to 10 minutes, depending on your stove, and it'll boil for at least a good 10 minutes before I turn it down to let it simmer. Now that our soup has come to a boil, and we have let it boil for a good 8 minutes or so, I'm going to turn it down to about 3 on my stove, because I do have an electric stove, and I am going to let it simmer for about 8 to 10 more minutes. I have noticed, however, that the soup itself has gotten quite thick, so you're going to want to keep a good eye on this so that it does not stick while it is in the cooking process. Okay, our soup has been simmering, and I have turned it off about 3 or 4 minutes ago, and it is still at a very slow simmer, looking very, very hot. However, it does look very, very tasty, and it has a good consistency to it. I am going to put some in my red bowl, which is next to my pan here. We're going to let this cool off for just a couple more minutes, because I have a feeling this is going to be a little bit hot. Just taste right away. Now, I did not mention, however, that you can add some toppings to the soup to make it a little bit more taste like a taco. I'm choosing to put sour cream, hot sauce, and some Colby Jack cheese. You can put avocado or any other ingredient, taco strips, anything like that you think would make it taste good. You can make it your own soup. Folks, now that I've added the hot sauce, cheese, and a dollop of sour cream, I think it's ready to taste our lovely soup. Let's see how it goes. Honestly, I think it tastes like a taco. I think it would have been a little bit better if I'd maybe added the tacos chips to it, or even the strips of tacos. It would be good either way, however you choose to make this. Well, that's all I can say, folks. I think this recipe has been a success. You can play with it and add a little bit more seasoning or a little less seasoning, and depending on what you taste is. I personally think I would have maybe added some jalapenos maybe, or a little bit more spice to it. But I overall think it was a success, and I will be making this again. Thanks for coming and joining me. I hope you all have a great night, and I thank you all for joining me in my channel. Take care and be well.